Hey, J-Bo Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester. The court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is up, J-Bo?
What's going on? You ready?
Let's go. Let go. It looks like we're good, though. Good
we're
morning,
good.
everyone. Good. Look at our beautiful humans here ready for action. Day 3. Let's roll. I'm going to pull this puppy up right now.
And Bob, while that was loading, I uploaded this.
Yeah.
Now you have it at your disposal.
Okay. You're heroic sometimes, man. You know that? Just heroic.
I hope people who we suggested to watch that bit watched it.
Because once you know. That's how that goes. All right, cool. So we are timely. We are timely. Yeah, I was up against it. Jay was patiently waiting, and I had to take a shower this morning. I couldn't go without a shower. So,
dude, actually, I
tweeted. I'm like, boop.
I was in there like a minute early. I was a little bit running late myself, so I wasn't like waiting in there. I just came in there. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be late, and then I come on and you weren't there. I'm like, all right, good.
Perfect. All right, awesome. So what are you thinking, man? You think they're gonna wrap it today?
All right, so we know it's the two doctors. I don't know who. Well, they have to call. Obviously, they call a medical examiner. But I don't know of any other witnesses. It sounded like they were just planning on getting through those two doctors yesterday. So,
yeah, dude,
I don't see why. Maybe it's because, and they said the next witness is going to take a while. So I assume that means it's the medical examiner. I don't know, but I have to think they're resting today, even if it's late in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to bring in any kind of like phone messages, or there's got to be some like there.
Oh, Tracy says lead investigators, so that's going to take a while. Then, if that's who.
All right,
it's funny because we've had so many witnesses, but like not a lot of evidence, really. Like I don't know. It's
that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, look, we knew going in. This is a she said case, right? I mean, there's no one else that can say what may have happened in that house, so it's really got to be, this just breadcrumb trail that's going to lead us to the conclusion that she did this intentionally, that the whole, abuse thing is bullshit, and that this was her plan all along. And I'm just not seeing it, not yet, at least. I don't, and that's not to say that that's not what happened. Like, I mean, but in courts of law, we need evidence. It's not what we think might have happened. It's what they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Exactly. Beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a pretty important thing there. And it's a pretty, like, you have to have it. And I don't know, man. So, but we're waiting for all the evidence, as we always do. So we'll see what comes out today.
Yep.
But it's just been, I don't know. It's hard. Like, I don't know if it's on the prosecution, but it just seems like every witness they like, I don't know. I don't see them hitting big points. Usually in a trial, you're like, oh,
right.
But,
I mean, the question always becomes, when the state decides to move forward on a case, they know what the evidence is that they have going in. So the prosecutor's office has to evaluate, can we get a conviction on this? Like, that's what their gig is. Their gig. I know everyone likes to talk about how, they're all about justice. They need to get convictions. That's what they're paid to do. It's what they're elected to do. They're elected officials. And, when they bring a case, they know what they've got and they know what they don't have. And we'll see. Maybe this lead investigator is going to shed light.
Well, I'm curious. For folks in the chat who are very much think that she's guilty, what evidence during this trial, not like pre-trial stuff, hit me with maybe stuff that I missed that you think came out that's like, yeah, so far. And if there's not, that's okay. But let me know if you think there's been evidence presented to date so far in this trial that you think has advanced it towards a guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I'd love to. I'm open. Maybe I'm not paying attention enough. Let me know, guys.
Yeah, me too. I'm dying to know. And it's not us being snarky. It's not us
No,
being like,
I'm
oh, prove it to you. It's like just what maybe Jay and I are missing something. It's like we can only base it on the evidence. Like Jay said, we can't base it on 48 hours and what people are saying out of court and interviews. All that matters is what comes into evidence, what has proven to you beyond a reasonable doubt that she's guilty of murder. So, I mean, because without that, she's got to walk. That's as much as people may think that this is all some kind of plan by her. I mean, the reality is, in this stage, it's beyond a reasonable doubt or it's nothing. So,
A to Z coming in hot. Thank you,
ooh,
A to Z.
thank you. Congrats to J-Bo on the 20K. I've been following you since the Twitter. Is that Adept days? Amber Depp, I guess maybe.
I don't know because I didn't follow. But thank you so much.
Yeah,
Maybe a typo.
Either way, yeah.
Thank you.
Probably meant Murdoch, right?
Yeah, that would be the one.
And we got a new member, Lisa. Love to see that. Welcome. And we're glad we've been seeing you in the chat, Lisa. Welcome to the fam. All right, we got some people in there. All right, let's make sure I don't have this thing muted, Jay, which I do have a tendency to do things like that.
I always have that anxiety. I'm like, I have my sound on too, so I'll let you know if I hear sound. But right now there's no sounds that I hear.
Good. And then the other part of this thing is the concept that the defense is going to be putting on some evidence too. So, and I think in this case, you've got to have her testify.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the real, that's gonna be the day, folks. If she testifies, that'll be super, super interesting.
Yeah, I mean that'll be fascinating. Because it's scary putting your defendant up there.
But here's the thing, Bob. Like, if the defense is kind of where we're at, are they do we even have to put her on if they don't feel the case is strong enough, or do they feel they have to because they have to get her story out as far as what happened? Without that, they might, I don't know.
Any kind of self-defense case, man, I think we got to put her up there. You have to. I mean, because the jury's going to look at it like, well, if it was self-defense, what are you hiding? Tell us what happened. Right. I mean, that's what normal people think. And it's like, and I know that kind of stands to reason in every trial, but in a self-defense case, you got to put her up there. It's just, I can't see a way around it. We've never had a self-defense case where we didn't put the defendant on ever. It's like, and it's like I said, you don't want to have to do it because one misstatement that can be misconstrued can sink the ship for your case and get your client convicted. So, but we also know leading in, it did get a little spicy yesterday.
Very spicy.
Judge Hot Pocket got in the ass of defense attorney Taylor for his continuing snide comments after the fact. See what Jay did? Look at Jay. I mean, just it's heroic. So we had a couple of things that were coming, and we think that we're going to hear them before jury's brought in, and there was a motion. Consider the judge's decision early on not to allow some of the information, presumably some filings and maybe some emails that were having to do with the family law case, which we heard quite a bit about with respect to the psych eval yesterday, which came in through, I think it was Dr. Broder, right? Dr. Brad Broder.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And today we're going to hear that, decide if the judge is going to, in lieu of that testimony, if the judge is going to flip the script and rethink his position on that and allow that evidence to come in. And I think that there was something I remember the name Richardson. I don't know exactly. But
All right, State, well, you
Let's
can
Do you hear
find
that,
out.
Bob? I got sound. Do you hear it?
Good morning, everybody. We're back on the record in State versus Ashley Benefield, 2020 CF 3014. Present is Miss O'Donnell, Miss Field. Present is Mr. Taylor and Miss Benefield. Couple of matters before we get started.
Yeah, John, that could be, but that hasn't, I don't know if that's really come out. I know there's like proof of it, but I don't know if it's come out in the trial yet. But if it does, that could be something
Yesterday,
that you
I had
think about for sure.
brought up that an anonymous reporter
oh shit,
yeah.
had come up to the 9th floor and spoken with the deputy who's there at the desk with some sort of information. This morning, 5 minutes ago, I was provided a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach dated yesterday. It says that it was sent to the state and the defense. Did you each get a copy, State?
Yes.
I did, and I responded late last evening, Your Honor, and a copy of Your Honor's chambers as well as the chamber.
Yes.
Oh, I don't have those responses.
He just said, thank you for sending it. I said I didn't get an attachment and realized I was looking at the wrong email.
I thanked him. I told him it was worthy of calling it to the court's attention and that I was
Thank you,
confident
Don.
Your Honor would probably
Coming out how we
hear
tend
his
to be.
results.
Membership
That's what I'm doing. Do you want to be heard on this, State?
always good.
No.
Defense? Do you want to be heard on this?
Yes.
Ooh,
I'd
what
like
is
the
this
court
letter?
to question the jurors individually. I don't know, like the lawyer said, whether or not the potential juror heard it. I have every confidence the court can do it delicately and first find out if which juror, if any, was exposed to that, and then find out if they heard anything that had any impact at all upon their perception of the case, and that was extrajudicial in the sense that it was a reference to something that had not been introduced in the court.
All jurors or just male jurors?
Judge, I would suggest respectfully all the jurors, and I think.
Even though the letter says it was a male juror?
Yes, because that's what this anonymous source said. But I think to be safe, to the extent there was some jurors in this location, there's limited places to go for lunch around here, Judge, so I think there's potential that there could have been other jurors there as well. And rather than run the risk of not knowing, I think a simple inquiry by Your Honor would put that to rest.
State?
And Judge, I would just recommend that maybe we ask the group these general questions. And if anybody says that they've heard anything or seen any news or heard you talking, then we can talk to them individually, because these people may not have had any information. And we'll spend time doing individual on it.
The concern with that is, in my experience, respectfully, any juror that was exposed to that may be very anxious about acknowledging it.
All right, thank you. I'll bring them in individually to ask about that. Of course, we've already discussed Dr. Quintel when we came back from a recess. He was approached by a reporter in the hallway while he was in the middle of testifying, but on a recess, asked if he could be, the reporter asked if he could ask questions of Dr. Quintel. Dr. Quintel said no, and the reporter gave him a card. That's my understanding from Dr. Quintel.
Yes, sir.
Anybody want to be heard on that?
Did not take it. The card.
Do you want to be heard on that?
Sorry, I just wanted to add that Dr.
All right. Do you want to be heard on it, though?
No.
No.
After hours yesterday, I was contacted by Judicial Security and notified that a witness who testified and had not been released from subpoena and again, this is second or third hand, and it's my understanding both parties have been made aware of this, was being interviewed by a news channel reporter in the hallway outside of
What
the
the
courtroom. When deputies were locking up, someone told them that this was going on. I don't think the deputies actually saw it, but it was reported to them.
And Judge, I spoke to the witness and there was a discussion with the media, but nothing was talked about what was going on in the trial or testimony or anything like that. And I've spoken with the witness and asked them not to do that anymore before the trial's over.
This is the first I've heard of that, Your Honor. I want to know who the witness was.
The reason I didn't speak in specifics is this is all hearsay within hearsay within hearsay.
I understand.
It was reported that it was Eva Benefield gave an interview to
Oh,
a
boy.
reporter from News Channel 8.
Oh boy.
Was she still under subpoena? I think she
Yes.
was.
Be a moment, Your Honor, please.
Yes, she was.
I believe she's under state subpoena.
Yes,
And did the state request that she remain available under the subpoena?
yes.
Okay. I think perhaps a hearing may be in order.
All right.
And
A what?
I didn't catch it.
the state would not be opposed to a hearing. I can represent that this particular witness did not speak about anything that was prohibited by the rule of sequestration. No one said to this witness, you're not allowed to talk to anybody about the case, just, testimony and the witnesses in this trial going on right now. So,
All right. Go ahead.
So, not to compound it, but to the extent we're doing housekeeping things now, we also have an issue, Your Honor, with an impeachment witness to Stephanie Murphy, specifically Faith Brown, who is representing Miss Benefield during the same proceedings. She was not on our witness list, but given the testimony of Miss Murphy, we are going to have her outside this afternoon, and the court may want to conduct a Richardson hearing just for that. So just for planning purposes.
All right. Do you understand that Faith Brown may be called as a witness?
yes.
I wasn't going to get too involved in the Richardson hearing yet. It needs to be done, obviously, and I've got a note for that. All right. So on the Eva Benefield potential interview with someone at News Channel 8, you're not asking for any relief.
No.
I don't know what relief you're going to ask for, but if you're asking for some relief, I'll let you get started.
Well, the relief I would ask for initially is that she obviously be barred from being called as a rebuttal witness potentially. Secondarily, to the extent the court admonished her about doing exactly that which she did, I've observed thus far the court's general admonishment that it gives to witnesses. I'm assuming Benefield received it as well. Is she in the courtroom, by the way? Ms. Benefield?
Here she is, yes.
I'd like to have her step out.
All right, ma'am, if you please remove yourself from the courtroom.
This is a young girl who lost a father. I'm not looking to hurt her, but given her disregard of the court's admonition, I think precluding her from being called as a rebuttal witness at a minimum would be appropriate. Whether or not the court feels any further sanctions are appropriate as a result of her disregard of the court's warning, I defer to you.
Did you want to be heard at all?
Judge, I would just dispute that she violated exactly the court's order. And if she does testify, she will testify consistently with what she has already testified to in a deposition. So counsel will know if that changes, but we know what she's going to say because she said things already in the deposition. So I don't think any potential harm has come from that.
Rebuttal. All right. Whenever we talk about having a hearing, my assumption at the beginning of that was that it was going to be evidentiary and people were going to call witnesses and present evidence. Here's what the court knows. Someone told a court deputy that they observed Eva Benefield giving an interview to News Channel 8 reporter in the hallway outside of courtroom A after court had concluded for the day. At this point, I have no facts or evidence before me. I've got hearsay within hearsay as to something that happened.
All right, Judge.
Yeah, so I don't.
I'll call it.
Well, I gave you that opportunity. That's what I'm saying is that if everybody wanted a hearing, then
All right, well, I took it for granted that the court would,
I'm not going to assume this is true.
yeah. So, court likes, I'll be happy to call her and we'll have a brief hearing.
It's up to you. All right, can you call Miss Benefield back in?
Man, what a morning.
State, just looking at the list, you have 3 witnesses left? All right. Do we expect to finish today with the state's case? Come on in, ma'am.
Oh, man.
Robert, do we know which deputy reported the matter?
No.
Or any
Yeah,
of
coming
the
in hot
deputies
this
in the
morning.
courtroom
She's gonna be like,
that saw the
shit.
conversation?
Yeah, this is like, ooh, someone's in trouble.
As I said, it was reported to me that some unidentified person told the deputy.
Okay,
So,
give me just one moment.
are you the one that they told? Yeah. Okay, right here.
I mean, can't they just
Mr. Taylor.
check Channel 8 News? Somebody get on the
Apparently it was
interwebs, go to
reported to Deputy
YouTube,
Racky.
go to Channel 8 News' YouTube channel and watch the
Of course, State, you want to be present?
Just have them step into our office.
While they do this, I was able to get an advance copy of the letter that the court received. It says, "Dear Judge Gaffigan, I was at a restaurant and I saw one of the jury members watching a hilarious show with Jay and Not So Silent Bob. I'm concerned they're getting some information about the trial. Judge Gaffigan, you should subscribe and tell your viewers to subscribe." So we'll see that shortly.
Ms. Benefield, I'll remind you you are under oath. You can scoot a little bit closer to that microphone and just answer the questions.
Jay, that was an amazing scoop.
Good morning, Ms. Benefield.
Good morning.
You appeared yesterday and testified before Judge White in this case, did you not?
I appeared on Tuesday and testified.
Tuesday. Time flies. At the end of your testimony,
Ava
do
one,
you
Taylor.
recall Judge
Zero.
White instructing you about having contact with anyone because you were to remain under subpoena? Do you recall that?
I recall.
Okay. And you were here today because the state requested that you remain as a potential rebuttal witness.
Correct.
Now, what did you think Judge White's directions to you meant?
Well, I was told I wasn't allowed to speak on any of the witnesses in my testimony while in the courtroom.
So I'm sorry, did you finish?
I'm finished.
Did you realize that when you decided to have a conversation with the reporter?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us if you would. I'm just trying to get an explanation. Tell us if you would what you were thinking that
Objection.
Overruled.
That's not what she said.
what you were thinking that
You
you
can
felt
ask her that, lady.
allowed you to do exactly that which Judge White cautioned you not to.
I was caught off guard in the hallway when I was under extreme emotional distress after being here, hearing different testimonies about my father's murder. And when I spoke to the reporter, I made sure not to talk about any of the testimonies or anything that happened in the courtroom or my testimony.
What did you discuss with the reporter?
Just how I felt about the situation and who my dad's character was as I saw him.
When you say about the situation, you mean about the case, the trial?
Not about the trial.
What situation were you referring to?
My emotional state.
Okay. You post on social media,
I do.
TikTok,
Yes.
any others?
No.
Following your testimony here last Tuesday, did you make any posts?
I did.
Tell us how many?
3.
3. And tell us one at a time. Were all 3 of them on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening?
1 was on Tuesday.
And when were the other 2?
Yesterday.
Okay. And tell us as to the first post, what was it about?
I said that I testified.
Okay. And did you have anything to say about your testifying?
I talked about it being on live television,
Mm-hmm. What else?
that somebody back home was watching.
I assume you have copies on your phone?
I do.
You have your phone with you here today?
I do not. Not on me.
Where is it?
It's over in the benches.
In the bushes?
In the benches.
In the benches here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
With the court's permission, may she retrieve it so we can see exactly what it was that she posted?
Says I'm gonna object if he knows clearly they have the post. So
Well, I don't know.
it's an invasion of her privacy to dig into her phone.
Not if it's on social media,
What?
but we started off talking about just speaking with some reporter, and now we're talking about a social media post. If you've seen it and if she's violating the rules, let's just get it out.
Okay.
Yes, Judge Gaff.
I'm trying to find that out.
So so now it's a fishing expedition. If you know a violation, let's talk about it. If not, let's just get moving. We got a jury waiting.
You
I
pulling it up?
understand that, Judge. How do I know? She's
got
told us she posted 3
408,000
things. How do
followers
I
on TikTok.
know what it's about? What if one of them involved discussions
Judge
that were
Clearly doesn't know the
inappropriate?
reach of
How am I
TikTok.
to know that? I've been a little preoccupied,
I would argue it's greater reach
and I
than
don't do
Channel 8.
social media.
Yes, absolutely.
Sir, if you have specific evidence, let's talk about it. If not, you have a team. You've got 1, 2, 3 people in court right behind you.
Get
I don't know,
Mr.
maybe they
Bate
can look it up.
Jr. to
But
work on this.
let's focus on what we know about as opposed to digging into speculation.
I have no further questions.
No questions.
Ms. Benefield, when you had this conversation with the reporter in the hallway, were there any other witnesses around?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Let me re-answer that question. None that testified.
There. It's good she clarified
I
that.
think.
Okay, so you're saying there were people standing
There
around,
were people
but
around.
none of the witnesses in this case?
No, sir. Not that I remember.
Did you talk specifically about the questions that were asked of you or the testimony you've given?
No, sir.
Do you have any follow-up questions to my questions?
No, sir.
Do you have any follow-up questions to my questions? All right, Ms. Benefield, you can step back out. Did you want to call any other witnesses?
No, sir.
State?
No.
All right. All right, Ms. Benefield's out of the courtroom. Go ahead, sir. Do you have any argument? You want to seek any relief? You want to argue in support of any relief?
Yeah, I think she violated the court's admonition that the court routinely gives to the witnesses. And as a result, again, I have no personal interest in seeing the young woman suffer, but I do think violation of the court's admonition is sufficient to strike her as a potential rebuttal witness.
Judge, I think you asked her the relevant questions. I think the questions that you asked her are the admonitions that you gave her as a witness, and she did not break any of those.
Final thoughts? I'm certainly distressed that, let me say first, the media policy for the 12th Circuit prohibits the media from conducting interviews inside of the courthouse. It is my understanding that our media and public relations person met this morning or was going to meet this morning with the media to go over the administrative order again, because certainly I think the media is and should be aware of that administrative order and comply with it. The specific incident that we're talking about after hours yesterday, the facts that are in front of me are not that Ms. Benefield spoke about her testimony or the questions asked. But I also have not heard from the reporter, and I have not seen any tape or footage. At this point, I'm going to reserve on the request, and I'll make a decision. If and when she's called again, I'll make a decision at that point. You just have to remind me if we get there.
I'm satisfied, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, next.
What about the letter?
Deputy, if you just start, I don't care about the order, just start bringing in the jurors one at a time, please.
Judge,
Oh, boy.
discussing loud back and forth.
By the way, folks, there's only
Yes.
six
Yes, but I'm going to give her an admonition.
jurors and 3 alternates. It's not 12 jurors.
If you tell him to just hold up for a second, she can come back in. At this point, I'm reserving on whether she can be recalled or not, but I think an admonition at this point is appropriate. Yes, Ms. Benefield could come in.
This court will allow her to sit in for further testimony, knowing that she may be recalled. The rule has been invoked.
Yes, under Marcy's. Sorry. No, hold on. All right, Ms. Benefield, you can stop right there. Ma'am, the court has ruled at this point that I'm reserving ruling on whether you're going to be allowed to be recalled as a witness or not in this case. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'll make that ruling down the road. But I want to admonish you about the instructions that I've given and the importance of those. They matter and they need to be followed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, you can retake your seat. All right.
Phew.
No.
No, I think he's good. Judge is good.
He's awesome. I love this
Yeah.
judge. I love him.
Great. So, the one thing that I'll tell you, we keep hearing about a Richardson hearing. apparently in Florida, it sounds akin to like a Brady violation. It's related
Morning,
to
sir.
discovery that's
Just, you
not
can just grab
tendered.
this front chair.
I don't know who's saying they didn't tender it, whether it's the state or the defense, but that's what
Hey,
Richard.
can you remind me, please, what juror number you were?
33.
33. All right. Juror 33, the reason I'm going to bring the jurors out individually is that this morning, the court was provided a letter from a law firm representing a reporter who indicated that during the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm bringing you out to find out, did that happen to you? Have you received any information outside of these 4 walls?
No, I didn't go to a restaurant. I was actually I was in my car here in this building.
All right. State, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Defense?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Oh, that reporter, you son of a bitch. It wasn't even him. Jeez. Get the reporter in there. Have
morning,
Fred yell at
ma'am.
him.
Just grab that first chair.
Or
And
her.
could you please remind me which juror number you were?
15. 15.
15.
Joe Schmo.
The reason I'm bringing
Put
about
his
jurors
family
individually
member down, Lynn.
is that
I'm so
this
sorry,
morning I was
Joe.
provided a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach
Brutal.
that claims to represent a news reporter. And the news reporter anonymously has stated that during the lunch break yesterday, the reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm bringing everybody out to talk about, have you seen any news coverage? Have you heard people discussing the case? Received anything outside of this room?
No, sir. I go home at lunch.
State, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Defense?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Just have a seat right there. And could you do me a favor and remind me of your juror number?
20.
Ma'am, the reason I'm calling out the jurors individually is because this morning I received an email, a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach who claims to represent a reporter. And the reporter has anonymously stated that during the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm asking everybody, are you familiar with that? Has that happened to you? Have you received any information outside of these 4 walls?
No, I have not.
State, any questions? Defense?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, good morning. Have a seat right there. That's fine. Could you remind me of your juror number?
Originally 42.
42. Thank you. All right, ma'am. The reason I'm calling out the jurors individually is because this morning I was given a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach who claims to represent an anonymous reporter. And the letter says, during the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So the reason I bring everybody out is just to say, are you familiar with this? Have you heard of this? Have you been approached by anybody? Have you watched anything on TV? Anything at all?
No, Judge. Yesterday, a couple of us chose to just not go to the restaurant area, and simply because we saw some people out and about, and we just figured it would be best to just stay clear of all of that. And no, I have not watched or viewed anything on media.
Thank you. State?
No questions, Judge.
Defense? None. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Just have a seat right there. That'll be just fine. And ma'am, could you remind me of your juror number for Monday?
35.
All right, thank you very much. Ma'am, the reason I'm calling the jurors out individually
lot of
is because this
females on the
morning I was
jury, Jay.
provided a letter from a law
Yeah, I
firm
think there's only one
in
dude.
West Palm Beach. And they claim to represent an anonymous reporter. And here's what the letter says, essentially. During the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm bringing everybody out to say, are you familiar with this? Did you see any of this? Have you done anything to look at or hear anything outside of this?
They know.
courtroom?
They know.
I have not.
All right. State?
No questions.
No question.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right, ma'am. Have a seat. And could you please remind me of your juror number?
Just from the day when I was here on Monday, at number 21, I believe.
All right, thank you so much. All right, ma'am, the reason I'm talking to each of the jurors individually is because I received a letter this morning from a law firm in West Palm Beach. And they claim to represent an anonymous reporter. And what the letter says is during the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm bringing everybody out to say, are you familiar with that? Do you know anything about it? Or have you looked at anything outside of these 4 walls during this trial?
No, I'm not aware. The only situation I do know, one of the jurors, Ted, I believe mentioned he was out to lunch. And he mentioned that he did get it. He got up and left a restaurant. But that's all he mentioned. He said he felt uncomfortable and left.
Thank you, ma'am. State.
No
Oh,
question.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. They just like in trial, they get a chance to ask their questions too.
Yes, no
Okay?
questions, Judge.
No question. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Happy birthday, Amy.
Happy birthday, Amy. Yeah, I
Oh,
tried to
good morning,
type the
man.
message and it's
Could you
having
please
trouble
remind me of your
connecting. Do I
juror
look
number?
clear to you?
My original one
The
or
message is in there. Yeah, you look clear.
Original.
29?
Weird.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, the reason I'm bringing everybody in individually from the jury is because this morning I received a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach, and they claim to represent an anonymous reporter. And here's what the letter says. During lunch on yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So the reason I bring everybody out is to say, do you know anything about this? Have you heard anything about this? And also, have you viewed or seen anything outside of this courtroom?
No, I haven't. And I had brought my lunch yesterday and ate downstairs on the table.
State?
No questions.
No question.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Hello, sir. Can you please
This might
remind
be the
me of
alternate.
your
This
juror
might be the
number
dude.
for Monday?
43.
Thank you, sir. The reason I'm bringing all the jurors out individually is because I received a letter this morning from a law firm in West Palm Beach, and they claim to represent an anonymous reporter. And here's what the letter essentially says. During the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So I'm calling everybody out individually to say, do you know anything about this? Are you aware of this situation? And also, have you been following the court's admonitions? Have you been influenced? Have you seen anything outside of these 4 walls?
Yes, Your Honor, that was me at the restaurant. I was getting my lunch to go, and I was keeping everything out of my view and wasn't looking at anything on the news. And I left immediately because I felt uncomfortable, and I haven't gone back to the restaurant. That's what I did. I ate my lunch in the park right out in front of the courthouse.
All right, sir. So when you said you weren't paying attention, was that to the television?
That's correct. I was not in the view of the television at all, and I asked the business owner to pack my lunch to go so I could leave.
And did you overhear 2 individuals in that restaurant discussing a witness's testimony?
I did not.
State?
No question.
No question.
Thank you, sir. All right. Hello, ma'am. Can you please remind me of your juror number from Monday?
38.
38. Thank you.
What was the number, Judge?
38.
Thank you.
Ma'am, here's why I'm calling everybody out individually. This morning, I received a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach, and I want to talk to everybody individually. And they claim to represent an anonymous reporter. And the letter says, essentially, during the lunch break yesterday, the news reporter walked to a restaurant near the courthouse for lunch. Inside, there was a large screen television playing coverage and commentary of the trial. Additionally, 2 individuals in the restaurant were discussing a witness's testimony. The conversation occurred within earshot of a man who the news reporter recognized to be a juror in the case. So the reason I'm calling everybody out individually is just to say, do you know anything about this? Have you heard anything about this? And have you seen any news or anything outside of these 4 walls about this case? State?
No question.
No?
No question.
Defense?
No question.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, the jury's out. State, do you want to be heard on this issue? Defense?
No.
All right, the letter that I received from the law firm is going to be filed in the court file.
What a morning, huh?
Yeah, man. A lot of
Haven't even
action,
started
dude.
testimony.
And had some knowledge confirming his story.
Confirming his story. Okay.
He requested the TV be turned off.
That he requested it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The deputy has informed me that somebody in the audience was at the same restaurant. And again, this is hearsay within hearsay. Would confirm that the juror asked for the television to be turned off.
What a guy. What a guy.
Does anybody want me to find out who that is and have them brought forward? State?
Who cares?
Give me just a moment.
Sounds like nothing burger.
Yeah. Big nothing burger.
No, you are.
All right. So is there anything else we need to take up before we get started with today's case?
Not from the state.
Not from the effect.
My man is thinking.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and bring the jury in.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, let's crank that one up, man. Damn, bro.
I think we both hit it at the same time.
Oh, we did. We canceled
I won't
each
do
other.
it. You do it. You do it. There it is.
You guys hear it?
We will bring the jury.
I
There
can
we
do
go.
it. Rather than a nothing burger in honor of this judge, I would say nothing pocket. A nothing pocket.
Nothing pocket.
While we're waiting, I got to shout out KTG who sent me two $5 cash apps that I missed yesterday. Thank you. Mary C sent me one. I feel so bad afterwards when I catch them.
Welcome to
and
my world, Jay, of just
I
being
feel so
ignorant,
bad.
Y'all can have a
thinking
seat.
people that give me money.
And Ashley bought me
Welcome
5
back, everybody, as a
coffees.
group.
Thank you guys
Again,
so much.
You guys are
Just
wonderful.
need to confirm
Beautiful
that,
human.
we kind of talked about this individually just a moment ago, but that no one has talked amongst yourselves about the case or began your deliberations. No one's talked with anybody outside of the jury about this case, and no one has done any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. All right, everybody says no. When we left off yesterday, the state was still presenting its case. State, call your next witness.
State calls Sergeant Brian Heelis.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hello, sir. My name is Judge White. I'm presiding over the case. As the deputy said, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right. There you go. And if you just speak in a loud, clear voice right into it, it should be just fine. If we hear you breathing, you're too close.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and spell your first and last name.
Brian Keelis, BrianQuiles,
Where do you work?
Manatee County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked there?
About 19 and a half years.
What is your current position with them?
I'm the supervisor of the Technical Services Unit.
And you're, I don't know if I said this, you're a sergeant?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the Technical Services Unit?
It's a unit that gets involved in the technical aspects of criminal investigations. One of the responsibilities is downloading data from cell phones and analyzing that data.
There we go,
And
J-Bo.
prior to your current position, what positions did you have at the Sheriff's Office?
Several. I started on the road, moved over to a cops unit, eventually moved over to the Special Investigations Division as an undercover detective for a couple of years. After that, there was a position involved in, again, technical aspects of investigations. It just wasn't called the Technical Services Unit at the time. And that's until I did that position for a number of years until I was promoted, and eventually the Technical Services Unit started, and that's when I started supervising that unit.
And what training and education do you have to do your current position?
I've had probably over around 800 hours of various technical training, some related to cell phones, some related to technical surveillance, but roughly 800 hours of total training.
Okay. And I want to talk about specifically cell phones and how you deal with those. So how much training would you say you've had in cell phones and analyzing cell phones?
It's probably a third of that 800. So around 250, 260, something like that.
Okay. When you do what I call a forensic examination of a phone, what do you do? Just briefly.
It's really a case by case basis. There's each phone is somewhat of a research project. There's so many variables, but ultimately that phone will get plugged into a forensic workstation. Software would be used to be able to download or extract that data from that cell phone, and that same forensic workstation will use software to be able to decode or parse that data to be able to review it.
When you download, I call it dump, a cell phone, when you dump the information from a cell phone.
Dump.
Take a dump.
Is it voluminous?
Take a dump.
Yeah,
Gotta
it
go
can
take
be.
a dump.
Yes, it's quite a bit.
Okay. And is it easy to interpret without
Bring
help?
that back.
No, you definitely need a certain expertise to be able to look at it. You need software to make it a little bit more of a convenience to be able to look at it, but definitely need some assistance to be able to do it.
And do you have programs, software that helps you with that?
Yes.
What are the names of the ones you use?
Our main state program is Cellbrite. It helps us extract the data. If it needs to bypass encryption and bypass locks, it'll help us do that as well. There's other programs that we use, Gray Shift, excuse me, as well, to be able to unlock the data and extract it. We have toolkits that I like to refer to of data or of software to be able to use.
And give me a general idea of how many phones you've done this with.
Me personally, hundreds. I want to say the unit as a whole has steadily done 200 to 300 leading up to about 2002, and that has increased probably closer to about 500 devices for this year alone, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So the unit 500 devices for this year.
Yes.
And when you use software like Cellbrite or Gray
Shift.
Does it allow you to put whatever data you want, for instance, pick out what you want and put it in an easily readable form?
You can filter the reports that the software displays. And if you only want it to include messages, you can create a report with just those messages, sure.
So for instance, on just your average cell phone, if you did a cell phone dump, you would get messages like text messages.
Yes.
And emails.
Yes.
Internet searches.
Yes.
And all different things that would be on your phone.
If those data transactions exist on the phone, you will typically get those.
Okay. So this software allows you to pare that down to what you want.
Yes.
In the instant case where you asked to do extractions on two phones.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been previously entered into evidence as States Exhibit 11 and 12. You can take a look at both of those. Can you tell me what those are?
These are the two cell phones that I had done examinations on. One of them belonging to Doug Benefield, the other one belonging to Ashley Benefield.
And is that the evidence tag that's on there? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And does it have your information on it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So did you go through the process that you just explained with both of these phones?
There were differences in the process, but they ultimately we were able to get a path to data and produce a report for that data.
Okay. And which one were you able to extract first?
Doug's phone, we were able to extract first.
Okay. And then were you able to extract data from Ashley's phone?
We were able to eventually. It did take quite some time.
Okay. Why did it take quite some time?
That phone, it was passcoded, or it had a PIN code. I want to say it was a 6-digit PIN code, and the software it took a long time to actually bypass that encryption or that PIN.
Okay, so if you don't have the passcode or a way to get into the phone, your system can do that?
Yes, it varies in length of how long it could take to bypass, but yes, the system allows for that.
Okay. And you called one of those, Doug's phone and one of those Ashley's phone. When you do extractions of the data, do you get information about identifying who owns the phone?
Yes.
And can you just explain what that is?
A lot of the times, especially with iPhones, you'll have an Apple ID that could be associated with the person that owns a phone. In the contact information, it'll have the owner's information. So it's pretty easily identify who that phone belongs to, especially with iPhones.
Okay. And the one phone, I'm not sure if it's 11 or 12 that you said was Doug's phone.
12.
12. Did that have identifying information on it?
Yes.
That identified it as Doug's phone?
Correct.
And then for Ashley's phone, same question?
Yes.
Did you prepare a spreadsheet for this case?
I did.
And what is on the spreadsheet?
It was communication between Ashley and Doug extracted from Ashley's phone from September 20th of 2020 until September 27th of 2020.
Okay.
Bring the
And when you
spreadsheet.
say communication, what do you mean?
In that particular report, it was mainly text messaging back and forth. There were a few phone calls and I want to say at least one email, but mostly text messages.
Okay. And you said you prepared the spreadsheet from Ashley's phone. Did you also look at the information from Doug's phone to compare that information was on his phone as well?
Yes.
Okay. And was it?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 98. You can tell me if you recognize that.
I do.
And what is it?
This is the CD containing the Excel spreadsheet that we just talked about.
Okay. And when you said there's communications between the two, if there were any attachments to those communications, would they also be in your spreadsheet?
Yes, they would. Yes.
And you looked at this?
Yes.
Yes. And is it accurate based on the spreadsheet that you created?
Yes.
Statement of evidence states 98.
Any objection to State's Exhibit 98?
No.
Received.
So I'm going to publish the spreadsheet now. If we could turn down the lights and potentially, it's a little difficult to read, potentially shut the blinds. Okay, so I know this is very small, at least from where I'm sitting. I don't know if I have handed you an exact copy, a hard copy. So I don't know what is easier for you to read. I know that print is very small as well. Sure.
Curious to see what this presentation is going to look like. Hopefully makes sense. And
I'm guessing low rent. Do we have faith that the state has a Master Bates type guy who can just crush demonstrative evidence? I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that we can see it. I always enjoy being able to see with our own eyes.
Yes, I agree.
Especially with texting and stuff like that. It helps. Oh boy, Allie.
Oh boy, Allie. Hashtag oh boy. Pause. Allie. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit it. I think every prosecution should take these. If you guys watch the Adelson trials, they have those texts perfectly. They have arrows going from person to person. Everyone should follow their lead on how they did that. I guess we will see.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of questions in the chat regarding what the defense has to show in terms of a self-defense claim in Florida and whether or not there was some of it a burden shift. And there is initially, so I pulled it up for Florida law because every state has different laws with respect, but it works in conjunction, obviously, with the standard ground law, as we know. You and Allie covered that hearing. But that was a motion to dismiss. So they basically put it to the state in order to, put their case forward there to say that they didn't even have the ability to be able to bring the case because they had enough evidence to demonstrate that this was self-defense, and that her actions were justified there. At that point, we know that was denied. So to claim self-defense in Florida, a defendant must establish the following elements. One, that they had a right to be where they were and they were not involved in criminal activity. Two, that there was an imminent threat. Three, that the level of force that they used was reasonable under the law. And four, that they were not the initial aggressor. So it says the specifics on how to prove these elements depend on the circumstances of the case. For example, if the defendant claims to have used deadly force, they must present evidence that the alleged victim posed an imminent danger of great bodily harm and that they exhausted every reasonable means to escape. So, and then once they're able to do that, the burden then shifts back to the state, and they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the actions of the defendant were not reasonable. So that's how it works with the self-defense claim in Florida.
Yeah, and we now have a hot pocket emoji on this channel too. And what I learned from Shiraz yesterday, which was an excellent tip, I didn't know this. If you don't see it and you're a member, toggle your chat from live chat to top chat back to live chat. That will refresh your chat, and you'll have the emoji if you didn't see it before. So I did not know that, Shiraz. Thank you for that tip.
Kitty C, since you're having a hard time showing that you're a member, and I'm not seeing that little kind of member symbol on you in here, Kitty C, maybe do exactly what Jay just said. Maybe try to refresh your chat, see if that fixes it. Amy, number one, happy birthday.
Are you going
you
to
did not
read from the one in front of you or the one behind you?
I'm going to attempt to read the one in front.
Okay, because I can try and make this a little bigger once we get through what we're looking at. So I have a laser pointer for you. So the red button is yours. And I have one as well. I do want to talk a little bit about these attachments that are on the phone or on this spreadsheet. Are you able to tell when you look at one of these attachments where that image or picture or video came from?
It depends on each attachment. There could be metadata there that the attachment could have been from a screenshot. It could have been from the actual phone, taken with the actual phone. So it just, again, case by case basis.
Okay. So there is a video on this phone that, and I just want to draw your attention to it, that shows some people at a restaurant. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
Let me hold on one moment and I'll let you know which one it is.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Hot Pocket sketch, I'm telling you, bit from Jim Gaffigan. He's also just hilarious for all his stuff, but also a great actor. He's been in some great movies, great acting.
Well, I forget who asked in chat. It might have been Mia Bito. If I had
It's
watched,
line number
have you seen
25
Unfrosted? It's kind of the
on your
battle
spreadsheet.
between.
I've seen the previews, but I haven't seen it. Is it good?
I watched it. Like somebody brought it up in chat, and I watched it.
Can you tell from what you're
thought it was
looking
great. Who was
at
in it?
where that video came
Toast
from?
versus Kellogg's.
Or do you recall from your investigation before where that video came from?
Based on what I'm looking at, it's an attachment from a text message from Doug Benefield to Miss Benefield.
Okay. And when you looked at Doug Benefield's phone, could you tell whether this movie was taken on his phone or sent to his phone?
I don't have a recollection of the actual metadata of the video itself on either phone. This is just looking at it from the attachment perspective, not the specific video itself.
Okay. If we could approach, Judge.
What is this video? Does anyone know what this video is?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. Maybe it's Ashley unhinged. Who knows? It's typically, you're in the shit in a divorce case when the husband and wife are filming each other. It's like, shit has devolved to the point where it's probably past the point of no return because they're each trying to get evidence against the other one. I'm always like, all right, it doesn't really work because unless you're a complete idiot or cannot control your emotions at all, you're not going to act a fool when you know your significant other filming you. But you'd be surprised.
Okay, so let me hook this back up. And let's talk about what we're looking at first.
Carol.
And then I can try and make this a little bigger so people can see it. All right, so the first column just has the number of the entry, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the second column is
Cat.
what?
It's just the type of entry
Thank
it
you,
is.
And give me a couple of examples of the type of entry that it is into the phone.
In this timeline, it's labeled as an instant message. If it was a phone call, you would see phone call. If it was an email, you would see email.
Okay, and what does instant message mean? Is that a text?
It's a text.
Okay. And then the third column is what?
It's the direction of that transaction. It's specifically dealing with messages, whether it's incoming or outgoing.
Okay, so that would be incoming or outgoing from Ashley Benefield's phone.
Correct.
All right, and then the next column?
It's whether or not that data transaction has an attachment.
Okay, and then the next column?
It's the date.
And the next?
It says time, but it also has the date and the time in the correct time code and time zone.
Okay, you said correct time zone. Can you explain that real quick?
So if you see UTC -4, UTC is what's considered standard time for world clocks. The time where the prime meridian is in the world, you subtract from that and you come up with a time code or the time zone that you're in. We are currently in -4. We're technically -5, but because daylight savings times, we actually subtract -4.
Okay, so does your software do that automatically?
Yes.
Okay, so when it says at the first line, it says 8:20.02, and that says UTC -4, that is the current Florida Bradenton time.
Correct.
Okay, and then the next column. And I made it bigger on the screen if it's easier for you to see.
I can see it fine here.
We'll be here, Haven.
The party is the people that are a part of the actual message.
Okay. And are these the labels, the names that are entered into Ashley Benefield's phone?
Correct.
Okay. And the next column?
The description, well, in this case, the first one is blank, but ultimately we'll have the body of a text message. Sometimes it'll be empty depending on the nature of it, but that's where the body of the text message would be.
Okay, so the next column.
Hey, Lana.
The source is just the software's way of saying if it was a native message or if it was taken with a third-party application.
Okay, and the next column.
The attachment is the actual file itself and the file name.
And then the last column.
The source file information has a lot of metadata where that file actually exists and the file paths and the size. And if you look at the table, all this information comes from databases and it explains where or what table the database that this message or this data lies.
Okay. So let me move it back over.
Folks, by the way,
after we get
several
through this
messages that there's
explanation,
issues
we'll
with
move much
YouTube
faster,
chat.
but
So
the first
it's a heads up
message
if you can't chat.
is
We
what?
don't know
If you
what's
could
going
just
on.
explain to us what that is.
Item number 1 is listed as a message. It's an incoming message with an attachment, and appears there are no there's no body to it. In other words, there's no actually text string. It's just the actual attachment itself.
And who is it from and who is it to?
It's from Doug to, I'm just going to say the name that's on the actual.
That's fine.
It says Ashley Christina.
There we go. There we go.
And is this the attachment?
There you go. Who's the genius who figured?
Wait, they've been showing text
Yes.
this whole time.
Okay, and if you could just read for the record what that
I
says.
think the other one was
Says,
data.
Am I now trying to win the favor and approval of men or of God? Or am I seeking to please someone? If I were still trying to be popular with men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ.
Oh man, this is giving me Lori
And then the
Vallow, Chad
next
Daybell
message
vibes.
is what?
Number 2 appears to be an outgoing message. It's from Ashley Christina to Doug Benefield.
Okay, and how much later than the first message is that?
About 2 hours, it appears.
Okay, and so from Ashley to Doug, and what is it?
The description says loved an image.
Okay, so she loved the image from before.
Correct. That's more of an action than actual writing something out.
What's the plan?
She didn't type loved
We're
image.
resting today. We'll see how long
The phone is
clock
saying that she
goes.
hit some button
Correct.
to love the image. All right. And then the next message is from right about the same time, and that says what?
Same time, that says good morning. There's another little icon after it.
Can you
It
just show
didn't
the
come on
messages?
here.
What is going
Okay.
on?
And then if
outrageous.
you could just continue to
Jeez,
read.
There we go. Just keep it up there, dude.
The next message, number
Right,
4.
the next
Okay.
message. If you can just say what time.
Okay.
To and from, and then what the message is.
So the next message sent around the same time, 10:36 a.m. It's from Doug to Ashley Christina. It says good morning with a few emojis. And the next message after that, there's appears to be an attachment, and that's at 11:43 from Doug to Ashley Christina.
What are
And
the
what is the
emojis?
message right after that?
I need to know what the emojis are.
I just went too far. Right after the attachment, I'm sorry.
Right after the attachment,
Yes.
it would be number 6. It's a message at 9:20, 11:43 from Doug to Ashley, and it says run, baby, run with a few emojis.
Okay. And so now I'll just play the attachment.
Oh, here we go. Some video. They better fucking show it.
Come on.
Oh, it's got a baby. That makes sense. They're
Aw,
not gonna show the kid.
she sounds so sweet.
Okay. So Doug says, run, baby, run to Ashley. And then what does she do?
That would be number 7. It's a instant message right after. It's at 12:16, and it just says laughed at a movie.
Okay. And if you can just keep reading.
Number 8 would be an outgoing message. It's from Ashley to Doug. It's on the same date at 12:16 p.m. It's just a few emojis. They appear to be laughing emojis.
And you don't have to mention the times right now until it switches a large
Okay.
time span. So go ahead.
The next would be an incoming message from Doug to Ashley, asking ready to rock and roll. The next is from Ashley to Doug, give me a few LOL, trying to round up the cats. It's like trying to teach a ballet to squirrels. The next is an incoming message from Doug to Ashley, says ha with exclamation points. The next is,
And we've established that it's all either from Doug to Ashley or Ashley to Doug.
correct.
So if you can just say who's speaking and then the message from this point.
Number 12 from Doug, he says, that's funny. After that, it's from Doug, says he's liked, give me a few. It's basically liking a previous text message, and it just repeats.
Okay.
The next is an outgoing from Ashley, says, OMG, I'm exhausted, LOL. The next is also from Ashley, you can come over now.
Now, I didn't ask you about the color coding on this, but what do the colors mean?
It was just to make it easier to read which one was outgoing, and on all the outgoings, which is Ashley's phone, are Ashley's phone, and the incoming is the other color.
And so the outgoings are what color?
The outgoings are the blue gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the
I'm sorry, blue gray. The outgoing is the orange.
orange. Okay. So if Ashley's speaking, it's orange. If Doug's speaking, it's gray.
Correct.
Okay. So I believe we ended it. OMG, I'm exhausted. LOL. Go ahead.
I believe I had stated the outgoing message. You can come over now. Number 16 from Doug. Hot. Need to video the rodeo. Okay, headed that way. From Ashley, she responds. She liked what he had said earlier and just repeats. Incoming from Doug. I'm walking around to back. The response, I could let you in the front, or which, and then adds to that, whichever. He responds, okay, front good. She responds with a thumbs up. He responds, me and XS boxes arrived. She responds, LOL.
What day was the shooting?
He responds with
27
a
September
message that includes an
27?
attachment without a body. Then there's a call log, which is number 26. It's an outgoing call log to Doug for, I believe, 11 seconds.
Okay. And then let me scroll down on here. After the phone call, what happens? Oh, let me back up just a second. What time was that phone call?
Same date, 9/27/24 in the evening.
And then at
Thanks, Red.
8:58 in the evening, that next entry, what is it?
So this is the night
It
of.
is a message from Doug. It says, good night, sweetie, theta waves with a couple emojis. I'll be done by 1 tomorrow and plan on joining the party. And then there's an outgoing, and then again, another action of just loving that previous text message. And then there was a response at 9:23 that says good night with a couple emojis. Ha, you sure you want to come hang out with the slum ? And 9:23 he responds, yep, be smeshin' at the slummin'.
What's smashing, Jay?
9:24 there was again an action of laughed at the previous message.
Okay, so that was at 9:24 p.m. and it looks like the next entry is at 7:36 a.m.
Correct.
And what is that?
That is believed to be an attachment without a body. It's a long string of characters, JPEG image.
And that came from Doug or to Doug?
That was from Doug.
And I'm going to display the attachment. You don't have to read all of this, but what is this?
Just another Bible verse.
I mean, keep it up there so we can read the fucking thing. Was the
Yeah,
jury
what
supposed to
the
read
hell
that
is
fast?
going on?
How could the jury
So
read that
after
fast?
the Bible verse, what is the next thing that happens?
She appears that she loves the image and then responds with good morning. He responds back with good morning with several emojis, and hours later responds with or says headed that way in about 30 minutes.
So that's approximately 3 hours later. He says headed that way in about 30 minutes.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a response from Ashley that says, oh, hey, wow, you done for the day? Don't rush because of us. We're out for a walk now. Not in a rush to get started today, LOL. We'll have to round up the cats when we get home anyway. There's a response from Doug, oh, nice, a little breezy, which helps. Getting early start so can finish up early to come over and be with y'all and play W Emerson, typically shorthand for with Emerson, free y'all up some, just ping when good to head over. And Ashley responds with a like of that previous message and then responds with will do, and also adds in a new text message, want to grab a can opener at Publix on your way over, ? LOL. I love I, of course, packed the one we had. He responds, ha, too funny. Yep, we'll get one. She responds, thank you. Trying to get the cats, LOL.
Herding cats, Jay. Herding
And after
cats.
that, there's an incoming message. Appears to be an attachment as well. And that was it.
Go ahead. Some of these attachments don't open on this computer. Can you explain kind of why that is?
I think that one of the previous videos that you had, sometimes it's a codec issue. The files are actually not necessarily embedded in the actual spreadsheet itself, but I can take this same file and bring it over to another computer and it might open. It just depends. It depends on the computer how it's set up to open that particular file.
Okay. So after the attachment, I'm trying to slide this back over. Let's see. Let me try to open this. Okay, so this is one that will not open. So I slid it back over. If you could tell us again, starting at 46, I believe it is.
Well, after that attachment, it's 45.
Or 45, sorry.
And it's an incoming, it says from Doug in the crazy loop at Gay, G-A-Y-E. And it's probably a misspelling because he corrected himself and put gate in the next message. There is a call log that has 0 seconds to it at 3:17, and then an incoming message walking around back, and then
So the walking around back is approximately what time?
3 o'clock in the afternoon, or
And then-
3:21,
The next message is approximately what time?
9 o'clock at night.
And that message is?
Good night. And she responds at 9:22 with good night and looks like a sleeping emoji.
And the next communication?
The next would be an incoming message from Doug to Ashley, appears to be an attachment, some type of JPEG image.
And you don't have to read this, but what is it?
It's another Bible verse. Believe we're on, after that attachment, we're on 52.
Yes.
It is an incoming message
Good God.
from Doug. Says good morning with some emojis. Hope you slept okay. She responded at 9:28. Loved the image, or loved an image, and also an additional good morning. Doug then emphasized the good morning, just another action that he took on a previous message. And the next communication was at 11 o'clock a.m. with a wave emoji, looks like. And at 11:22, he responds again with how's morning. She responds with also a wave emoji at 11:26, then says, good, the scramble to get all the loose ends tied up, LOL. He responds, no kidding, I'm done. Around 1, we'll head that way.
What day?
Been
is
going
this?
since like 3 a.m., LOL.
I think it's day off.
She
I thought.
responds, OMG, 3, why is that? He responds, just to get work done so can pack. Love mornings, all quiet. She responds, okay then. He responds, Spark is best friend, LOL. She laughed, another action for that message. And another response from Doug, finished up here, yay, headed that way.
And what time was that?
That was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:17.
And then after that?
At 1:19, she says, oh, take your time, no rush in, not in a rush today. And at 1:20, a response, LOL, with an emoji, think we all are getting pooped from the efforts. She responds with liked a previous message and it just repeats. There is also a laughed at LOL, again, laughing at a previous message. Then another message at 1:36 says, can you think of anything we need at Lowe's or anywhere? Then there's actual call log at 1:42 that lasts about 49 seconds. And that was from Doug to Ashley. And then at 3:30, there's a message from Doug headed that way in a few minutes. I'd nothing need. And a message from Ashley. Alrighty, we are just out for a walk. Still can't think of anything needed at the moment. There's an action liked already, and the message repeats from a previous message. Doing front gate, I'm assuming circle, but CIRCL, and a call log from Doug to Ashley with 0 seconds. Incoming from Doug, I'm here. And it looks like another call log for about 20 seconds.
And
And
that's
that's
about, I'm sorry to interrupt, that's about what time?
That was at 3:56 in the afternoon.
And the next message is at about what time?
9:26 p.m. It's a message from Ashley Christina to Doug.
Oh, I guess it's
It
not
says
the
good night with an
day
emoji.
before, maybe. I
And
wish
then
I
after
knew.
that, Doug responds, "Good night, precious girls."
I wish they'd show.
And after that, Ashley,
Yeah.
again, an
Emma Ward,
action
this is
of
no
loving
Alec Baldwin
that previous
Emma
response.
work, you know?
And the next several messages appear to be related to attachments.
Okay. So the next attachment I'll put up. Who were these attachments sent from?
These were from Doug to Ashley Christina.
And then in the middle of this, so it would be, I'm not getting the lines correct, but I think it's line 87 maybe, at 9:29:35.
9:29:35 is line 86.
Okay,
And that's another action of loving an image.
okay. And there's one more attachment, I believe. Possibly one more after that. 2. So all of these attachments were sent from Doug's phone to Ashley's phone.
Correct.
Okay. And then there's a series of responses from Ashley. Can you tell me what those are?
It's the previous action that we've referenced where she physically takes an, it's not word that she's typing, it's just physically within the operating system of iOS, it allows you to take an action on an image. In this case, she loved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
6 images.
Okay. Let me get it back centered again. So after she loved the images, there's an entry where she types a message. What is
Yes.
that?
That's at 9:31 at night. She responds, "Oh, these are sweet, thank you." And he responds with an action that he loved the previous message, and then responds with y'all rock my world with a heart emoji. And she responds again with an action of loving that previous message, and with it's a very small emoji, hard to tell what it is after the action.
I know what it is.
And then what's the next entry?
The next
Exactly
is
what it
an instant, it's a message with an attachment, and that's from Doug to Ashley at 6:47 in the morning.
I'm going to pull up the attachment. And again, what is that?
Appears to be another Bible verse.
And if you can continue.
So after, there's a message from Doug, says good morning with emojis. And then also an additional message at 9:28 that says, got an email from Stephanie after she talked to Faith. Since order to mediate will meet for 1 hour tomorrow to stop court next week. You dismissed injunction. We sign joint stipulation to dismiss dissolutions and hold until Moreland signs. Order for report. As soon as she signs order, we file dismissal and we're done looks like praying hands emoji and a heart. And then there's an additional message after that. And we have joint session with Dr. Q Friday to wrap up our adventure in Florida, FL, and leave with understanding of double knots and red-blue inversion. After that, there's an action by Ashley Christina that said, loved an image. And it continues with a good morning. And there's an emphasis by Doug of good morning. Ashley Christina responds, oh, okay, I'll reach out to Faith to follow up on all the above with a thumbs up. Doug takes an action and liking that previous image and then says, and we're done. Again, praying hands emoji. And also responds, and all in first 10 days of Jewish New Year, LOL. It continues with an action of laughed at the previous message. And then at 9:57, Doug responds, you gotta laugh, September 18th was first day of Jewish New Year, 3 years to date of your Odyssey starting day of ballet launch, Rosh Hashanah, the first of the Jewish days of awe. We can call our Odyssey the days of all, LOL.
Okay, so we're at the 23rd. There we go. We're 4 days before.
At 10:13, there's an incoming message, says from Doug, so perfect outside, looks like a sun emoji. Ashley responds with an action for those previous messages, which just repeats. And then writes, oh yay, we should do Selby today. He responds, oh yes, with multiple M's and yum. She responds with a few emojis. He emphasized the emojis and then adds, Stephanie just sent Faith joint dismissal of everything except injunction, which Faith has to do, just one pager, and also responds, what time thinking Selby? Ashley Christina responds with the action of liking it and then says, maybe 1:30-ish, I'll text you when we're headed that way with a thumbs up. He responds, or Doug responds, okay, I can come pick you up too. Then adds more time with my baby. Then adds mediation tomorrow by Zoom 10:30 and be quick. Ashley responds with the action of liking that. Then added, sorry, just looking at my phone. You don't need to drive all the app back to LWR to get us if you are already downtown. But if you want to, that's fine. Just let me know either way. Doug responds, I'm at apartment. Adds, so pretty, enjoying pool area, finally to work, LOL. The next message is an attachment with nobody.
From Doug,
That is from Doug to Ashley Christina.
and I'll pull up the attachment. I don't know why I just closed that. Let me open it again. And what number were we on?
132, that was the attachment.
Thank you.
Man, she appears to be blinking very quickly. Not that I'm saying it means anything, just making
What are
an
you saying,
observation.
Jay?
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not saying that.
What are you implying, man?
So after the attachment, what's the next communication?
It's a message from Doug to Ashley Christina. I'll just head your way at 1:30. Ashley Christina responds, hot, nice, okay, just getting our things together now. Maybe head over in like 10 minutes, 10 MIN. Doug responds, okay. And then after that appears to be an email from Doug to Ashley.
Okay.
Must be the
And
doc.
after that?
After that is incoming message from Doug. Do you want to get together tonight or in morning before mediation and unify the instructions for Faith and Stephanie? Think we are going to need to keep involved until this is done or will drag out. She responds, ha, okay, thumbs up. He responds, thumbs up. Prefer tonight, maybe run over Pandera or in AM, question mark. And she responds, sure, can do Panera tonight.
Okay, so I want to back up a little bit. We were talking about the entry that was the email before.
Ariel,
that. Does
me and
it
Bob
have
are
the
trying.
content
Come
of
on,
the
cut us some
email
slack.
in this spreadsheet?
I'm assuming she's talking about Doug and
Yes,
Ashley.
yes.
Appears there's quite a
hope.
bit of metadata involved, but the actual content from what I'm looking at is not actually in there.
Okay, does it say any names associated with the metadata?
There's an email address of Stephanie Murphy. It's like at murphylawsarasota.com. There's an email address related to Doug Benefield. And there's, I believe those are the two names that I see that are associated with.
Okay. So we left off at sure can do Panera tonight.
Yes. And adds 8 question mark. She responds with a thumbs up. And that was at 7:27 p.m. And she responds with at 9:55 p.m. with a good night and a sleeping emoji. And he responds also with a good night with another emoji. He adds sweet dreams and then also sends an attachment. Correction, the sweet dreams was the last one at 9:56 p.m. The attachment I just referenced was actually 7 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Okay, so the next day I'm clicking on that attachment. And what is that?
Looks up here, a Bible verse.
And what are the messages after that?
All right, so attachment. After that, there's a good morning with a few emojis. If you want, you can come over here for Zoom. And adds, we can grab bagel and CHI. It's 10 a.m. BT, by the way, BTW is just short. And then there's a phone call at 9 o'clock, 9:07 with no seconds. There's a 151. It says there's an incoming message with no body. And then after that, there's an incoming message with an attachment. It appears to be related to connection to a Zoom meeting, possibly. And then
I'm going to click on that attachment and see if it will come up. It's one of those that will not come up, so go ahead.
the next after that appears to be an ID number and a password typically associated with Zoom meetings, and then a phone call with no seconds. And then 9:38, it continues where Ashley Christina loved an image, then liked the message. It's 10 a.m. by the way, and then added, "Ha, oh man, okay, thanks for the heads up." He responded by liking that, and then added, "Set up here if easier for you." And she responded, "That's okay. I guess I should brush my hair and change out my PJs. LOL, I think I can just do it from my phone." He responds, "LOL, you can." She liked LOL, you can, and then added quick and easy LOL.
And what was the time difference between the like of LOL you can and the quick and easy? Approximately.
About 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. And then what was the next entry after the quick and easy?
So it was another action by Doug for that quick and easy, and then added, "So nice to experience quick and easy. Finally, LOL." Then adds, "Smeshing good." Then adds, "PS, you looked great for just rolling out a couch. LOL," and added an emoji. He added, "I'm working on brief, head over soon as get to stopping point like 1." She responds with the action of loving the previous message, or one of the previous messages. "So nice to experience quick and easy." Laughed at also the PS, looking great comment. And then added, Ha, thanks. Figured I should put a clean shirt on even if I had PJs on the bottom half. LOL. She adds, and okay, just let me know as you're finishing up. He adds, just to ponder while I finish up, thinking about getting all the cars up here, and I thought was to ship the Cherokee up there by transport, which is 900, and either tow my truck or tow to your Jetta. The U-Haul plus the car trailer is about 1,000. That's for the biggest truck, which gives us plenty of room. The option is another pod and tow one of the cars behind my truck. Overall price about the same. U-Haul, more flexibility, like taking things straight to storage. She responds, okay, things to think about. Maybe best to have you drive the U-Haul and tow your truck behind. Mom and Cats will go in the Jeep and I'll drive with Emerson in my car. She added, LOL, the Beverly Hill. He added, LOL, the Beverly Hillbillies, coming from dem slums. Forget about cat courier requirements, LOL. She laughed at the Beverly Hillbillies comment, added LOL, then added, I believe, several cat emojis. He laughed at the emojis, then added, headed over shortly, brain approaching short circuit. She added, ha, okay, well, give me a bit longer, finishing up mom's closets now so I can get the cats locked up. He added, he liked the previous message, and then there was a outgoing phone call to Doug for 38
her and
seconds.
the cats. Jesus. Gato.
Outgoing message
Gato.
from Christina says, headed that way. He responds, or he took the action of liking it. Added, we done good, LOL. We have Dr. Q at 10:30. Good night with an emoji.
Okay, so the light headed that way was at what time?
That was at 2:00 in the afternoon.
And then the good night was at what time?
It's 8:27
Okay,
at night. Saw two of them, apologize.
and then after the good night,
After good night, there's an outgoing, indeed, LOL, good night, from Ashley. And then after that, there is an attachment at 5:45 in the morning from Doug.
okay. And I'll click on the attachment. What is that?
Another Bible verse.
And the next entry?
Appears to be another attachment roughly 15 minutes later.
Okay. And if you could read what this says?
Live a life filled with love. Another Bible verse, Ephesians 5:2. At 9:26, there's a message from Doug that says, good morning. Minute later, there's an action of loving an image. Second, loving a minute image. And he responds with, Dr. Q's at 10:30. Do you want a CHI? Question mark.
I think that's chai.
Chai. At
want some
9:27, there's a response from Christina, says, good morning. There's a repeated response, previous message. Dr. Q is at 10:30. Do you want a chai? And then and bagel, he added to it. She responds, ha, that's okay. Thank you. If I do that this early in the day, I'll be done for the day, LOL, but thank you. He added, he liked that message. And the next appears to be an attachment from Doug related to possibly a YouTube video. And that was at 9:56 a.m.
And it's another one that won't open. And then the next entry.
It's at 10:40, 35 a.m. From Doug, are you able to make Dr. Q okay? She responds, yes, LOL, be in a minute. He responds, no rush. He's still not out, LOL. She responds, I know, LOL, waiting for mom to come out so we can swap. There's a message without just a rectangular square there. And then after that, there's 10:42:35. There's an LOL from Doug. There's a phone call. It's
Now, the LOL was at 10:42 a.m. and then what's the next entry?
correct. 10:42 a.m. was the LOL. And then the next is at 5:39 p.m., which is a phone call from Doug. And with 0 seconds. Then adds after the phone call, IV here. And then another phone call for 15 seconds at 5:40 p.m. Then,
Your Honor, not to attack Sergeant Keelis because he's been reading for a while, but it's a little tough to follow. I wonder if he could give us the number of the message, so it would be much easier to follow.
That's fair.
And I don't know why, but I think your numbers may be off.
off different from this.
They might be. Can you look?
IB here is, well, we're not using the numbers that are built into Excel. I want to say
Okay.
the
That's
numbers
what it is.
are an actual column. So technically IB
Hang on, I'll
here,
move this over. That's what you're looking at.
correct. IB
Okay.
here would be 212.
If he gives you that number,
Where-
are you okay with that?
It's far left column.
Can you show him?
My gosh, 214. Just 214. These numbers here match what he's saying. There's numbers on the Excel spreadsheet showing that's what was confusing me. But the numbers he's saying are the numbers.
Well, they
Hot
do this
miking. Hot mic.
as-
We're on
there is some hot mic.
215, correct?
Shannon had put in the chat, she's going to be on with us tomorrow.
Correct.
And as an
Okay.
ex-evangelical, she's going to kind of talk about what it means
Not a
with
problem.
Doug sending all these Bible verses every day. She just gave me some insight, which I didn't even
We
think
left
about.
off of 215,
talk
which
about
is
that
at 9
tomorrow.
o'clock. It's a good 9
Interesting.
with an emoji. 216 is an attachment, a JPEG.
Which I guess
And
I
that
could
was
say,
at
we'll get into it. Basically, it's like
6:43 a.m.
he's sending all these
And
Bible
that
verses
is
like
on the next day,
you're not supposed to get
correct?
divorced. You're supposed to stay
9/26.
together, you know?
Correct.
Right. I think that there's a lot of manipulation through these Bible verses. It's like kind of the concept of religion, altogether. I mean, Karl Marx said it a long, long time ago that, it's an opiate of the people, that religion was used to control people in mass. And I think that certainly holds true to individually as well. You're lay, especially if Ashley's devout, you know what I mean? That if religion doesn't hold weight with you personally, then this would mean nothing other than irritating the shit out of you. But if you happen to be devout and whatever your religious beliefs are, him kind of constantly throwing this shit out there at her, like laying guilt trips, subliminally guilting her into the divorce is not the right thing. We've got to stay married.
Right.
And I've been seeing a lot of so if Allie and I were defending this case, my spin on this is obviously going to be, look, I don't care if she seems like she's being friendly here because she is. I mean, if she is in an abusive relationship with this guy and her move appeared to be, okay, I think my best shot of being able to get out of this marriage and get out of this state is to have all this shit go away with the divorce, get down to wherever she's going. Where was she going to move to? Maryland?
Maryland, yeah.
And I'll deal with that shit at this point because he's like, as long as there's no pending petition for dissolution, the court doesn't have jurisdiction to drag me back. That's how the law works. So, and she knows that once she gets, because she wants to get away from that judge. All right. So I'd be arguing that this is a forum shopping for her more than a plot to kill him. That everything that she was doing leading up to this in terms of agreeing to drop things, agreeing to just completely get rid of the petition for dissolution, you know, and then the final thing was to remove, you know, the mutual stay away order. That thing was still hanging out there. But, you know, I mean, once those petitions are gone, the court then loses jurisdiction. Whereas if she is still under the petition for dissolution is still active and the case is active, everything in the marriage is stayed, meaning you can't change anything financially, location wise, nothing. And the court has power over you to haul you back. So in her mind, she's like, all right, I'm going to play nice with this dude for as long as I need to till I get this house packed up. I'm going to even let him think that he's coming with us. But once I'm packed, bro, I'm gone. Good luck getting me back. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's probably the conversation that starts taking place that night. And as you can imagine, if she makes that clear to him that night, shit probably got heated. But if I'm defending the case, that's the approach I'm coming at the jury with.
Welcome, Maya. Thank you for signing up.
And I pulled up the attachment. What is that?
That's like a Bible verse.
And then
And as
you can continue.
Babe
from
All
there.
right, so
said,
moving forward,
she has a lot
217
more to say than what I
is from
just
Doug
said. So
with a good morning.
she'll be on tomorrow. with us.
218,
Yeah,
she
we
loves the
guarantee
image.
that. Guarantee
And 219, she responds also with a good morning. 220, Doug sends ready to start with a thumbs up. 221 is a call log with from Doug with 0 seconds. 222, there's a message from Ashley Christina. Okay, I'll text you in a bit with an emoji. I can't tell what it is. Pretty small. Next record is 223. Just one of those action messages, liked a previous message and then it repeats. 224, want to come pick me up and we can go get the truck.
And that's from Ashley.
And that's
correct?
from Ashley.
Okay.
And Doug responds, sure, with 225, sure, headed that way. 226, I be here. And that's at 12:41 p.m. And then 227 is all the way at 9 o'clock in the evening. And it's from Doug, and it's a good night, sweet dreams. Then at 228, 923, Ashley responds with the action of loving the previous message and also responds with a good night. 230, there's another attachment at 6:42 from Doug to Ashley.
I'll pull up the attachment. What is that?
It's the Bible verse. After the attachment at 231, Doug sends good morning. 232, she responds, loved an image. And 233 with a good morning. 234, he responds what looks like a strong fist up emoji. And 235, there's also an incoming from Doug with just a little rectangle. 236, she responds with LOL. 237, he responds, what y'all working on? And that's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 238, about 15 minutes later, she responds, last cram, LOL, using big boxes and getting the last loose stuff packed up and ready. And also responds on 239, how's it going over there? Making progress? He responds at 240, number 240 at 1:18 in the afternoon. Loose stuff should be a chapter in our book, LOL. Got everything out and in garage ready to throw on truck except couch, AKA bed. Pretty much emptied. Taking solely to get his shots, then to doggy spa to get groomed and stay until ready to go. 241, he adds, I'll come there after drop him off at 3. .242, she responds with the action of laughing at a previous message, and it just repeats. Another action of liking a previous message, then adds 244 adds, great, could you run by Lowe's before you come over, grab a few large and mediums. 245, he responds, sure, I need a few too, which is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. At 2:35, number 246, which is at 2:35 in the afternoon, it's just a like by her, sure, I need a few, but it's just a repeated from earlier, and then adds, just to be safe, let's do 10 of
Yeah, I
each
think
just
this
for
is
the
the
last bit
27.
here.
I can see it
248
over there.
from Doug, he likes the previous message and adds, and 249, okay, let me know anything else if think of. 250, she responds, tape. 251, and also adds LOL. 252, he responds, ha, K. 253, just finished vet, headed to spa, LOL. 254, she laughed at that previous message. 255, he says, headed there. 256, she responds, okay. The next line, 257, I'm here out front. She responds, okay, 1 minute.
Now, when he says, I'm here out front, and she responds, okay, 1 minute, about what time is that during the day?
That's about 3:54 in the afternoon.
Okay, and the next message is at about what time?
3:55 in the afternoon.
And the next after that?
After that, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
So there's an hour and several minutes in between these two.
Correct.
Okay, so after, okay, 1 minute, what is said?
Then 2:59, about to head back from Doug. And then the message after that appears to be an attachment at 5:11 in the afternoon.
And I'm clicking on the attachment for the record.
Appears to be,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
it appears to be maybe the U-Haul truck that they're loading up.
And that was sent from Doug?
That was 5:11. Yeah, that was incoming, yes, from Doug to Ashley.
Okay, and then the next message?
The next is from Doug, and this is number 261. Everything in except couch and 10 medium boxes and tutu cab, LOL. 262, she laughed at the image. 263, she responds, ha, OMG. 264, he responds with trucker on the way, and that's at 5:32 p.m.
At 5:32 p.m., was that the last communication between these two?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you. Judge, can we approach just a moment?
Yes.
Before.
I wonder if she's going to ask for a little break ski.
Little break ski, yeah. I mean,
Got a little
been
blippity
a
blooping.
lot of reading. Let's see if I got any bloops. Bloop, 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 bloop.
One legal issue that I need to resolve before
Ooh.
we finish up with this witness's direct. So I'm going to excuse you in the back. It should take about 10 minutes. It's my best guess. So please don't begin deliberations amongst yourself. You can't communicate outside, send and receive texts, emails, telephone calls, but just don't talk about the case. But don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics you've heard anything about. I'll get you back out here as soon as I can.
Okay, let's see what we got.
We may have discuss your testimony.
All right.
Excuse you. Extent we're going to be talking about to be cautious. Please understand the rules of sequestration.
I think he was just giving him the
sequestration has been
sequestration.
invoked. You're not
Oh, he's just
discussing your
giving him
testimony.
the.
No, I think it's fine because I think they're still going to meet him down. I can see all right. Okay, the detective is out of the room. We can have argument on this video.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, video.
And thank you for rehearing the issue. I had a chance to research and we obviously weren't.
If you've got case law,
I-
contrary to what people may think, I want to make the right decision. So if you've got case law, I want to hear it.
Thank you, sir. I actually just sent one to the printer because I didn't know if you'd rather have it. But it's called Lumarque, I don't know, Lumarque. It's 44 Southern 3rd, 171.
Say that again.
Sure, 44 Southern 3rd, 171. There's a yellow flag, but it's for a different reason. This case was,
Judge, are you looking it up electronically, or would you like a hard copy?
No,
okay,
I'll take a copy if you have one.
Looks like Glenn Close.
give me 1 second.
It's not, but she
Oh,
really
that's
looks
all right.
like Glenn
That's
Close,
the only
no?
one you've got?
She's got a
Okay.
little Glenn Close in
I
her.
can do it, Judge.
She looks like a stern woman.
We printed this for you, but then realized we needed 2 copies, so here's the paper copy.
She testified, didn't she?
I don't think so.
No? Who is she?
I think it's legitimately Glenn Close. I think it's
Judge, they revoked my copy in favor of the court.
Favor of the court's.
We're not gonna do anything until you get a copy.
It should come any second.
Of course, I can't blame their decision, Your Honor.
Glenn Close, huge Mets fan. And the Mets, if there's any Yankee fans, did anyone catch the game last night? My power went out specifically during the hours of the game. If anyone could tell me what the score was, I missed it.
Seems like Jay's talking shit there. That smells like shit talking.
No one wants to imagine that, Carol.
Okay, I'm happy to report the White Sox still have
The part
not
that
won
I'm
30 games this
Referring
year.
to is on the
Oh
second
my.
page. It's a short case, luckily.
I want you to let that sink
where-
in, bro.
My reading of it is there were text messages and photographs, which I think videos and photographs are treated the same in most case law. That's my understanding and my feeling, but that there were images and text messages that could not be authenticated by an ex-wife on the defendant's phone. And the trial court did not allow them into evidence. The third DCA here said the court erred. The images and text messages were found on the defendant's cellular phone.
Can you just slow down just a little bit for the court reporter?
I apologize. The images and text messages were found on the defendant's cellular phone, seized pursuant to a search of the
There's
defendant's
Allie.
home
She
through
was
a
hidden.
warrant shortly after the alleged
Baby
incident.
cakes?
This fact was testified by the state's forensic expert and is sufficient to authenticate the exhibits. Here, those phones have been in evidence since the day before. The contents of them were admitted
I didn't do it.
with a trial exhibit today, and not objected to.
I didn't do
The only
it.
thing is this one video was objected to, this attachment. They would argue based on
Try
this
this.
case that we have established this phone
Oh,
was
she
There
gone.
you go.
properly searched, properly downloaded, and the material was found.
If anyone's getting
on the
covered by a
defendant's
text,
phone, the
chat.
defendant's phone, and therefore the state argued it should be admitted.
All right. Mr. Taylor?
Just 1 second, Your Honor.
By the way, if you missed it, Allie, there's some argument here about something that they want to produce
video?
regarding these messages.
Oh,
They paused, like they said,
Okay,
they
I
have this illegal
distinguish
issue
it
there.
on 2 bases, Your Honor. They quote U.S. versus Caldwell 11th Circuit decision, holding that authentication of evidence merely requires a finding that the evidence is what it purports to be. Well, that's the exact issue. Sergeant Keelis cannot do that. He can only say this is a video, it was on the phone. He can't say it's a true and accurate reproduction of what took place on that morning. He doesn't know, for
I think that's a
example,
losing argument.
I've seen it, Carol.
who was there that might not have appeared in the video, what the motivation was that brought them there. He wouldn't be able to say whether it was under coercive circumstances. I don't think he qualifies to be able to lay that predicate. A second reason why I don't think this case is applicable is in this case, they held that it was admissible because it constitutes evidence of motive. Judge, this is a second-degree murder case. As the court knows, motive in second-degree murder is not an element. There is no obligation that murder be proven.
God, it's so hard. He talks so slow.
I don't think they can
Bob, could you
raise the
pause this just real quick? Just real quick. Someone in here decided to say she had 4 years to get free. She didn't. And this is, I could say it confidently for Bob Shell on my channel. We're not gonna, we're not gonna say that shit on our channels. Like, oh, she could have got free, she didn't. We're not gonna, regardless of what you think about this, we're not gonna make statements like that. We're not gonna allow them in chat. So don't fucking do it. So sorry.
Right. So I just want to say there's a difference between asserting like that. What you just read implies that assumes that she's a victim and says she could have gotten free for 4 years, which is different than saying like, I don't necessarily believe that she is a victim. Right. I mean, that's the precise difference between what that person said and what someone saying they might not believe her story or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you can't
I think that's your comment. What was the comment?
So somebody's trying to say she had 4 years to get away and she didn't. Well, that's bullshit. That's not the.
Yeah, that sounds like somebody who's never been in a horrific, controlling, domestic, violent relationship.
And all I'm saying is it doesn't mean that you.
And all I'm saying is that person's clearly never been in a manipulative, controlling relationship.
Right. And all I'm saying is that we can.
That's what that indicates to me.
Not believe her story, but that argument that she had 4 years to leave, that's the mentality that people have to realize. That's not a rational argument either way, you know.
Well, I think Jay's talking like, I think you're slipping into the legality of it. I think Jay's just talking about overall. And I'll just say this, that this is a safe space and we have a heck of a lot of, as I've been seeing since this trial started, a lot of survivors of domestic violence abuse in our chats. We are going to protect you. Trust us on that. Jay just did it. We will continue to do that. Again, you can have opinions on the case. Don't pretend like you know other people's shit. You don't know, like, you know what I mean? Unless you've lived it, you don't know, period. And let's leave it at that.
But I also think it's helpful when Jay points it out for people who are thinking like that to realize that thought process, well, she had 4 years to leave. That's not like a valid thought process because of all the things that you guys are saying. So even if you don't believe her story, that part of your rationalization for not believing her story is not a valid rationalization because of all the things that you guys just said.
Well, yeah. And look, if this dude punched his dog in the face so hard that he knocked the dog out, I got long thoughts on that because that speaks volumes to me.
Right.
Volumes.
Right. And you have him putting trackers on cars, watching through windows.
That's creepy. If you punch your dog in the face to the point where you knock your dog unconscious, that speaks volumes to me. Like all the other coercive control shit is awful. But in terms of, can we get to a place to believe that Doug was so violent that she reasonably feared for her life? The fact that he punched his dog in the face to the extent that he knocked do you know how hard you have to punch a dog in the face to knock it out?
I don't, but I assume it's pretty hard.
I assume
right. I can assume.
Like, my dog has like his skull. Like if he's,
I mean,
he's
got
the
break your fist
or the zippies or the whatever you yippies or wherever he's running around like a maniac because he hasn't been out for a walk. And if he's clipped my knee a couple times, like while he's like blasting by me, dude, his head is like a brick. So I'm just telling you, if it was, and I don't know what the size of the dog was. I don't know what that was, but just to be that cruel to a helpless animal who, for all intents and purposes, is your best friend and who's never done anything other than provide loyalty and comfort to you, it speaks volumes to me. That's just me.
Now,
Take
Bob,
what it's worth.
just to say, and I don't know what they've gotten into on this, but during the pretrial, the cousin testified that what he said was the dog scratched him and he like pushed the dog off of him really hard, harder than he would have wanted to. But I know the defense keeps saying like that he admitted this in a deposition that we're never going to hear. If that,
Well, we might. I don't know. Like, so there's going to be a hearing at some point about, because the judge had sealed the documents coming in from the divorce case. They re-brought it up after some testimony yesterday, which you missed, babe.
from the lawyer.
Yeah, Taylor, defense counsel, made a motion for him to reconsider based on the testimony that came in. There's some documents that they want to get in because, he's trying to attack the state's concept and theory is that obviously this was all just a plot,
Right.
and that
He's
and
a
that,
peaceful religious.
yeah, and then
sweet
that
guy.
her overall motive in terms of why this happened when it happened was because this psych eval was going to be unearthed 3 days later on the 30th in court. So he was trying to get in, just, which is strange to me that the judge would have sealed even the docket just so we can have dates or court orders to see what was going to be handled on a certain date, because there was a lot of back and forth with Doug's defense attorney, or I'm sorry, divorce attorney yesterday, wherein he's challenging her about what was really being handled on that date on the 30th. And, he was saying, look, we all, like, there is evidence that exists that the psych eval was not being dealt with on the 30th.
Well,
So that
that's
destroys the state's theory. It's
Yeah.
big.
And I heard your explanation, which I thought was a perfect way for the defense to argue this, that
Right.
she was motivated to get to where she was going by any means necessary, to get out of the state, to get a new judge, to do all those things. And to, when all said
I
and
mean,
done,
like the bottom line is, if you understand how the system works in terms of jurisdiction and who the court has jurisdiction over, once you get out of that state,
especially if you're both gone.
especially if you're both gone and there's no pending litigation, that's the key. That's when the court is going to lose jurisdiction over the case, because once they go in and they say we're withdrawing our petition for dissolution, case is over.
Or they can transfer it, even if he doesn't. But yeah,
Well,
obviously.
but no, that like, you missed the text messages. The plan is they're dismissing it all, like it's getting dismissed.
All right.
So like that and I'm saying, is it manipulative on her part to be trying to position herself to be able to make the getaway? Yeah.
Right, but how do you
the
prove
question
beyond a
is-
reasonable doubt which manipulative motivation it was?
Right, exactly.
I think that's,
Exactly. Like if she's
Huge.
being manipulative in order to out manipulate a manipulator, then I'm good with it. She's got to do what she's got to do to get out of the situation. So, but again, we're going to look, we're going to listen, we're going to see what all the evidence shows. But in terms of kind of arguments, as far as where we're sitting right now, I have no idea what went on in that house, but I can see it from both angles. I can see it from the angle of her, if she is in fact, in this coercively controlled relationship and has been from the get. I mean, he's 30 years her elder. If you don't think that this, and she's attractive, and she's young, and if you don't think that this dude was like feeling insecure about losing her, I just don't think that that's very, very realistic. So, but all right.
Also, yeah, I didn't mean to derail everything. I saw some people who said earlier this morning they were in other chats where like shit was like bad. We wanted to make sure that you guys feel like you have a place to be here, like Bob pointed out. Also, it's interesting because like you said, Bob, there are a lot of people who have been through domestic violence and have been abused, but they're on the other side that have different thoughts about this case, which is very interesting to me. We just want you to be respectful. That's all we ask. We understand there are going to be different views, so that's all I wanted.
Right, and I just want to reiterate, I've got no problem with people who don't believe her, don't see her as a victim. That what Jay was pointing out was a mentality that doesn't follow that logic. Like you can't use the fact that she could have left earlier as a reason to think she's not a victim, because that's just not the way domestic violence works. And that's
Right.
why that's different than just saying, you know what, I don't buy her story, which is different than putting part of the
Right.
reason you don't buy it on the fact that she didn't leave earlier, because that is wrong.
Yeah, and believe me, like domestic violence is a very large umbrella that includes not only physical violence, but emotional, psychological, financial, him controlling the purse strings in terms of being the breadwinner and having the money is absolutely gives him the ability to coercively control her and her movements and what she's able to do. So yeah, like I'm obviously with Allie. And that being said, Allie and I have 100% had clients wherein we know that the other side of the equation, that the other partner is lying and manipulating the system. It happens. Like that's not to say that it does not happen, because it certainly does. There are plenty of women that have used, domestic violence statutes, which we needed so desperately, but they use them as a sword as opposed to a shield, and we've made that argument because after women just being abused forever in this country, forever and ever, with no protections under the law, finally, when they started making these domestic violence statutes in all the states, women were afforded some protection, and they were able to have a voice, in courts of law, which was a very lengthy since the inception of our country. You know what I mean? So like when that finally happened, but with that, you're going to get women who are going to say, all right, well, I'm going to use this thing in order to get things to work my way. Like a move that you see a lot in the beginning of a divorce is where the wife, in order to try to get control of the house, even if there is like, if it's abuse, then it's called for. If it's not, and they're coming in on some bullshit because they want to get the spouse out of the house and they want to get the upper hand on the custody. I mean, so you always have to kind of dig in, It's
and
like
Bob's referring to people trying to get an order of protection very early to get the husband out of the house,
Right.
and it takes him a while to fight it, and then he's been out for so long, that kind of scenario. So again, just to reiterate, in the scenario that someone is arguing that someone is manipulating the system and using it, you would never use as evidence of that the fact that she could have left earlier and didn't. It's like saying, well, the sky is purple, so that proves she didn't leave. That she's not being abused. It doesn't have any relation to the other, because it's not a valid argument, because there are so many people who cannot leave for so many different reasons. So hopefully that's also educating people who have that mindset to see why, wait a minute, you're right, that's not a valid mindset.
Yeah. All right, cool. We good? All right,
I think so.
All right.
Thanks, Jay.
No,
Good job,
thanks to mods. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for
Just that I
keeping
think,
this how it is.
defense counsel's arguments go to the weight, not the admissibility. I think
Thank
this
my
case
wife.
stands for the fact that we've entered, without objection, cell phones that contain this video, and then now without objection, the trial exhibit with the attachments and the CD. The objection was just to one after, which I think is also an issue, but I think we don't have to get there. But I think this case stands for the fact that once we've laid the predicate that this was a properly searched phone, and that the data on it was properly removed, and the detective testified that everything was in order, then we've laid the predicate for the contents of the attachments to also be admissible based on this case that I can't say the first name of.
What was the date and time of this particular message?
The message was, I don't know that you can read the small print on that, but there's a copy, but it is, if you're wondering if it was before the Panera conversation or after.
I want to know the day and time that this attachment was sent.
It was sent 9/20 of 2020 at 6:40 PM.
What number are you referring to?
Oh, 25.
And the Excel spreadsheet, which is the data dump from the defendant's cell phone, shows it's in blue. So it's from,
Defendant's phone. So it's from the defendant's phone to, I'm sorry, from.
correct,
the
it's
victim's
from,
phone to the defendant's phone.
right, it's from Doug Benefield's phone
Yes,
to Ashley Benefield's phone.
yes.
Yes, Shannon.
All right, any further argument? Because I wanted to ask that question, though, specifically when.
No, sir.
Anything else?
No judge.
All right. No objection or no judge?
I thought you said, do I have any further
Anything
argument?
else? And you
Yeah,
said no?
And I don't, no judge, sorry. Yeah,
Okay, well, as I said, if there's case law out there that is contrary to a prior ruling, I think it needs to be brought to my attention. And what State versus Lumarque, Lumarque, 44 Southern 3rd, 171, at 172 to 173, Florida 3rd DCA 2010, states pretty unequivocally, the images and text messages found on the defendant's cell phone seized pursuant to a search of the defendant's home through a warrant, which it wasn't here. It's my understanding, the testimony that I heard was that they were provided to law enforcement. Shortly after the alleged incident, this fact, testified by the state's forensic expert, is sufficient to authenticate these exhibits. So the issue is authentication, and that's where I had initially sustained, because obviously there was got to be no witness, this Keyless, sorry.
you
Gotta
said
hop
he
off
was
for
entry,
Zoom court.
that's
I'll be
how I
back.
remember it. It helps me.
Keyless
Love you.
certainly could not authenticate the video. And just to be clear, I'm not sure, I think it's on the record that it's going to be a video of the defendant and her mother that's taken by a third party. I outlined it pretty in depth in my order denying the stand your ground. And like I said, certainly the technical services unit couldn't authenticate it, saying that it's the traditional way, that it's a fair and accurate depiction of the events of that day. So then I had mentioned that the bench, perhaps the state could lay the silent witness predicate. However, I don't find that the silent witness predicate was sufficiently laid by the detective Keyless. However, apparently, according to this case, it is authenticated by the fact that it was found on the defendant's cell phone that was seized shortly after the incident. And at this point, it's been sufficiently testified to by the state's witnesses and the forensics expert that he did find this video on there. In fact, in addressing the defense arguments, the third DCA goes on to say, regardless of how these images and text messages might have found their way onto the defendant's cell phone, the state has presented sufficient evidence at this stage. Certainly, they met the admissibility that these exhibits constitute evidence of motive. As we've discussed, motive is not an element. But the state has made the argument in the past and makes today that the entry of these items is not for the truth of the matter asserted, but to show the relationship and interactions between the parties in the days leading up to the homicide and the normal texts and banter and communication of a married couple that is in the middle of a divorce. So for those reasons, I will reverse my prior decision, and the video would be admissible under this case.
Thank you.
So we did that specifically so you could finish with your direct
Yes.
and the ruling is made, so then it's available on cross. I know we talked about different options, but I'm glad we did it that way because I think it makes a lot more sense.
So we can recall him and play it, and then we'll tend to the witness.
Correct. So when the jury left, he was on the stand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, so I'm just gonna put him back on the stand. The jury won't know any different. All right, so if we can bring,
Can we take a quick restroom break?
all right, 5 minutes?
Just 5
Sure.
minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Bloop, 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 bloop. It's the nice thing about the little pause. You could just go right through the break, right through it. Bloop, 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 bloop.
All right, I'll just use the slider.
While
All
he
right,
does that,
so
thanks everyone for being here.
y'all, I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, while he does that, thanks everyone for being here. If you
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
hit that like, please hit it.
Yes. And thank you for the early burst of generosity. Jay and I always love coming in when you guys come in hot with the love.
Yes.
We're always super appreciative of that. So essentially, what was going on there, like what we typically do if we have forensic like phone data. I mean, we've had just like a local dude from like AT&T come in order to authenticate records, because you can get them in. The parties can stipulate, like oftentimes we'll stipulate the bank records so that you're not having to bring a custodian of records in from whatever company it is to just come in and testify. Those are the witnesses we all hate, right? Like, oh, I work at AT&T and yeah, I'm a customer service rep. And yes, I so essentially what they were doing there is there's obviously this video and there was some argument as to whether or not it was authenticated by the cop, just basically showing the forensic data and, obviously showing that it came, the information came from whoever the carrier was. So the judge apparently had ruled against allowing this video in, but now has reversed course. And this video, which I'm now very curious to see, is coming in. So we'll see what it is.
Very interesting.
Sir, did you speak with anyone about your testimony or their testimony or anything at all?
No.
Exactly. So
Jury back
that
in?
guy.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, sorry.
Bring him in.
Oh no, LS. Thanks for being here. Sorry if you lost someone.
Oh, LS. I'm so sorry to hear that. Condolences. Hey, Mama Kay.
All right, y'all can sit down. Welcome back, everybody. Anybody begin deliberations, communicate with anyone outside the jury about the case or do any research on the case? Everybody says no. State, you can resume your questioning.
Okay, I just have one thing before I turn witness over. There was an attachment of video that was sent by Doug. It's line 25. So sent by Doug to Ashley, correct?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, you don't have the sheet in front of you.
No.
Sorry.
Thank you. Line 25 is an attachment from Doug to Ashley Christina.
Okay, I'm gonna play that attachment at this time.
Here we go.
I don't even know what it's doing. I think it's giving you clues that I gotta guess.
Playing heads up.
Get real.
Second part.
Real.
Working mother, not a working mother.
Bravo series, multiple cities. Come on.
Working mother, not a working mother.
Not a working
Wow. Pass. Pass. Pass.
mother. I live in a.
Slum.
People said earlier, like, great.
Oh no, it's running out of time.
I live in a.
House.
And
Real house. White.
So put together.
Housewives.
Wow, that was pathetic.
Oh.
Should be ashamed of themselves.
Okay.
Worst clue
Thank
giving
you. I
I've
have no
ever
further
seen.
questions.
She's guilty of being really shitty at heads up.
Cross. And Mr. Taylor, do you want
That's
the
my verdict
screen
on
or do you
that.
want the lights back up?
I'm gonna use the screen.
Yes, sir. We'll leave it as is.
Do you want your?
I don't understand. Like, what is that?
Okay, well, that they're clearly trying to
Good morning,
show that
Sergeant
she
Taylor.
was like, this isn't what she was saying it is. That this
Right.
relationship is not like they're
I want to make
they're
sure that
laughing
we
and
can
having a great
establish
time,
the
playing heads up
contours
while
of
they're
your
eating breakfast.
testimony. From the technical services unit, you're capable and authorized to extract this information from the cell phones of both Doug Benefield and Ashley Benefield.
I just
Yes.
have to hear what this guy sounds like.
You don't know the context about the messages. You just are able to read
What are you doing?
what's printed.
I wanted to see how slow
I
he
can read
sounded at half
what's
speed.
printed from the extraction, yes.
Right. But for example, there were quite a few Bible verses. You wouldn't be able to necessarily tell us that Doug Benefield's a very religious guy. You just can tell us, here's the Bible verses that he posted.
Yes, I could tell you that he sent a Bible verse.
Okay. And you can't tell us the reason that either party may have had for sending a particular text. You can only tell us this is what the text says.
Correct.
You can't tell us whether the text is true or false. You can only tell us what the text says.
Correct.
You can't tell us if the text is genuine or motivated by fear. You can only tell us what it says.
Correct.
I'd like to pass you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 3 and ask you if you can identify it.
I would object to be on the scope.
Okay, I don't know.
Come here, bud.
What do we got? Sidebar?
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Where is it? Oh.
But I missed what.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
I'm going to pass to you, Sergeant Keyless, what I've marked now as Defendant's Exhibit 3.
So I guess they said 3 total, so they have 2 more after him, right?
Those
Maybe
would
lead
be-
detective and medical examiner.
Would they not
Got to be the ME, right?
text messages that you also extracted?
I believe these were the text messages that you may highlighted during a deposition, and
Yeah.
we
and that-
confirmed that these came from, I believe, Doug's phone.
Correct.
Yes.
And that we requested.
I apologize, Judge. I do think we need to approach him.
Oh, approachal. Another approachal. More approachal. Okay, we're about to bloop. Get some nice blooping space, though. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. You know what the judge is just sitting there thinking? You know what it is, Jay?
I do. I
bet
do.
you can guess.
I do.
It's all he's thinking about.
BGOG, member for 6 months. Thank you, BGOG.
I think I'm gonna go meatball, maybe hot ham and cheese today. That's what he's thinking. Glenn Close, She's like, what kind of Hot Pocket do you want to have today? Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Lengthy sidebar. Bloop, 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 bloop. It's eating up all our extra time
All right,
today.
members of the jury, it's going to take a little bit longer. So
Oh,
what I'm
my
gonna do at this
God.
point is it's about 11:30.
He's just
I'm
having
going
a
to let you
lunch.
go to an early lunch.
Lunchtime.
So if you could be back downstairs in the jury assembly room at 12:45. That gives you a little
12:45.
bit extra time. That'll give us time to take care of what we need to take care of. And we'll get you back up here as soon as we can, right after your lunch break. Please remember, don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anybody else. And don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics you've heard anything about. All right, thank you. All right, you go ahead and bring up the lights. Okay, Detective Keyless, we're gonna let you go also for lunch. Just remember the admonitions from earlier. Don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't let anyone discuss the case with you. Don't talk with any other witnesses. You can't talk with the attorneys about their testimony. Don't do any research or watch anything online. Understood. If you could be back here at 12:45. Sure. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll see you back here at 12:45.
All right, I am going to make it.
Wait, is he talking? I thought he was having like an argument. They're not having a legal argument?
I don't know. I'm gonna make the afternoon slash stream for 11:40 my time, 12:40 y'all's time, and then I'm going to try to properly send everybody over. I think the last time I did it, I sent everybody back to this stream. It was like it was the looper. It was a looper move. So I'm gonna wait until this kicks over to YouTube. What does that take? It takes a couple of minutes, minute or so for YouTube to pick it up once I set up the live stream. So yeah, I think we're still on track for the state to rest today. I'm getting that vibe. Because I think, to be honest with you, I think that they think that this was the more lengthy.
This is the one that's going to take a while.
This was the lengthy witness, yeah. Because I mean, it was just he had to read through all the messages, and I think that ultimately Taylor's main thrust with this witness is going to be an argument. I mean, if he's smart, he's going to make that same argument I made with respect to kind of the tone and tenor of the text messages, that her being pleasant and putting on a ruse in terms of being agreeable with Doug in order to get this thing dropped so she can get the hell out of Dodge is definitely the move. If I were the defense counsel, that's certainly what I'd be doing. And I think I'd have my brilliant wife on board with that theory of defense as well. All right, so let's see here. All right. Let's see, I'm gonna go in. So yeah, we'll take a break, y'all. Y'all go feed your bellies, walk your dogs, pet your kitties, do all the things that you need to do. And I'm going to try to get this thing moved. All right, so day 3, okay, afternoon session. All right, I found it. I'm going to try to do
12:45 Eastern, guys. We'll be back 12:45 Eastern time. Well, about 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Yes. All right. I'm adding the redirect. Okay, let me see. Is this the right one?
It should come up under you're not there's two sides, right? It should be on the left side, like under your stuff, and then
I think this is it. No, see, that's the one from this. This is the one we're in. It's like not showing up yet. Like when I go to my redirect. It's weird.
Let me see if it's on your page.
Yeah, it's showing up on the page, but it's not showing when I'm going into a redirect. It's not popping up. I've got.
Well, here,
some
let me do
other-
this. Hold on. Let me. This is what I can do. If that doesn't work, let me go to your page. Let's go to live, upcoming, share, copy. All right, I'm gonna put in case this doesn't work, I'm gonna put this link in the chat. The comedian's name is Jim Gaffigan. If you want to look up the bit for Hot Pockets, I just put it in the chat. The link, in case the portal doesn't work, I just put in the chat the link for the afternoon stream. If you want to if the portal doesn't work.
All right, and I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. If you guys want to bounce, it'll just portal you guys if I can figure it out. Yeah, it's weird. Why would it show the one that I started at 7:45? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense, man. I don't know.
Dizzy says you scheduled for the wrong day.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, you did schedule for tomorrow.
Oh,
you have it scheduled for 7:26. That could be
Good
the issue.
God, y'all. Good God, y'all. Good eye, Diz. Good eye. Good eye. All right, let me see. Wait, I do. Upcoming July 25th. I think it's the right day.
No, I'm looking at it right here. It says 7:26. That's tomorrow.
Really?
Yes. Unless you look, are you looking at the one you're in right now?
No. Hold on. Let's see if I go to dashboard. Day 3, afternoon sesh. Let me edit it then. Let me see. Edit. Title and description. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back into StreamYard and change it.
As long as he changed it, the link I sent will still be good. He's not making a new one, so that'll still be okay.
See, it's now I have it for today, 11:40. Oh, I see. PM. That was one mistake. All right. Okay. All right. Afternoon sesh. Okay. All right. Let me. Tech Bob. It's Tech Bob.
It's right. I see it. 7:25. That's today.
Okay.
12:40 p.m. today.
Save it.
Should be good.
All right. Let me see if it pops up. Go back in there. Okay. Redirect. Oh, I still can't tell. Yeah, it's still not showing up for customization. All right, so Jay dropped it in there. I'll keep messing with it. If you guys keep this one running, I'm going to keep this stream running until maybe it just takes a couple minutes for that to pop up over here. I don't know, but use that link. Be back at we'll be back at 11:40 Central, 12:40 Eastern, and enjoy your lunches. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
We love yous. All right, I'm pulling us off.
Are we done, Bay?
We're on lunch. I'm trying to redirect and the thing just will not pop up. Even when I cut and paste. So yeah, like jump off. I'm just keeping this live until I can work the redirect.
All right.
If I
love you.
can.
Okay. Bye.